Charles Kuralt, the beloved CBS newsman, was known for sharing America's heart through his road trip stories. But behind his gentle persona was a secret that could have destroyed him. For 29 years, Kuralt secretly sent $600,000 to another woman while his wife stayed at home. He funded properties, paid tuition, and even signed letters as Pop to children who weren't his. To the public, he was the gentleman traveling America's back roads. But in private, he led two completely different lives. The truth about his early years remained hidden until after his death. Despite being born in Wilmington, Charles wasn't raised there. His mother, Ina, went there to give birth because it had a hospital. Soon after, they moved to her parents' tobacco farm in Onslow County, where Charles spent his childhood. There was no electricity, no plumbing, just life on a farm with a pump for water and a wood stove for heat. Charles made the best of it, flying homemade kites and carving slingshots from dogwood branches. As the family moved from town to town, Charles developed a passion for radio, which would shape his future. By 14, he was announcing minor league baseball games and hosting a music show. He won a local writing contest and later, the National Voice of Democracy contest, where he met President Truman. His speech, delivered in Williamsburg, echoed the bold spirit of America's past. Though he spent summers working in tobacco fields, Charles cherished the 50-mile trips to the Kinston market with his grandmother. There, she'd tell him tales of bandits, and Charles imagined himself as a rifleman guarding against outlaws. These memories later influenced his storytelling on TV. Growing up in the segregated South, Kuralt was aware of the racial injustices around him. Though he never overtly preached politics on air, his stories always gave a voice to those often ignored. By the time he graduated from Central High in 1951, Charles wasn't just another student. He was on his way to becoming one of America's most trusted voices. Charles Kuralt was already on his way to success by 1951, even before his classmates voted him most likely to succeed. At 14, he was a radio announcer, and by 18, he'd won the Voice of Democracy contest, earning $500 and shaking hands with a U.S. president. At the University of North Carolina, he juggled history courses, radio work, and his role in the St. Anthony Hall literary fraternity, impressing everyone with his ability to excel at both journalism and thinking deeply about issues. By 19, he was working professionally at Ways Radio in Charlotte, calling baseball games with a smooth style that made listeners feel like they were sitting in the room with him. In 1954, he became editor of the daily Tar Heel, using his position to challenge the status quo, writing fiery editorials against racial segregation and mocking the university's dry policies with clever humor. Upon graduation in 1955, despite his family's wish for him to attend law school, Kuralt followed his passion and pursued journalism full-time. His radio documentary on North Carolina's history earned national acclaim, catching the attention of CBS News, who hired him in 1957 at just 23 years old. At CBS, Kuralt became the youngest correspondent in network history. By 1960, he was the first host of Eyewitness to History, covering landmark events like the Kennedy-Nixon debates, which drew an unprecedented 77 million viewers. His calm, trustworthy demeanor made him a household name. In 1961, CBS sent him to Latin America as their chief correspondent, where he covered 23 countries, navigating riots, revolutions, and constant danger. Despite the chaos, Kuralt's reports were calm and authoritative, proving he could handle even the most volatile situations with grace. By 1964, Charles Kuralt wasn't just a reporter, he was a trusted voice in America. As the country underwent dramatic changes, he was at the heart of it all, covering the Vietnam War and the civil rights struggles. His reporting from Vietnam was harrowing. In one assignment, he and his crew were ambushed, with half of the soldiers killed. In 1965, he broadcasted a Christmas special from Vietnam, capturing a soldier's death in front of the camera. He also reported from Selma, Alabama, bringing out raw emotions with his quiet, compassionate interviews. By 1967, the constant competition for big stories left Kuralt exhausted. He wanted a change. He proposed to CBS that he take 3 months off with no assignments, just traveling across America. Inspired by John Steinbeck's travels with Charlie, Kuralt's idea was initially met with skepticism, but one CBS executive gave him a chance, with the condition to keep costs low. In fall 1967, Kuralt and cameraman Isidore Bleckman set off on a modest road trip in a rented motorhome, living on peanut butter and crackers. Over the years, they traveled more than 1 million miles, creating 500 segments across 48 states. On the Road became a beloved series that showcased the kindness and simplicity of everyday life. The first segment, aired on October 27, 1967, featured a couple making maple syrup in Vermont. George Butler's remark, "You can get color and sound, but you can't get smell," captured the series' essence, simple and heartwarming. Kuralt encountered unforgettable characters, like a 99-year-old bricklayer in Iowa and a man living in a house made of beer bottles. In 1970, mobile editing tools helped the crew stay on the road longer, keeping the show fresh and allowing them to capture even more stories. In 1972, Kuralt created one of his most powerful segments about old hobos riding the trains in California. These men, forgotten by society, shared their stories with Kuralt, and he treated them with dignity. The segment won an Emmy, preserving the stories of a disappearing way of life. By the 1970s, On the Road had become a cultural sensation. Kuralt and his team filmed over 600 stories, offering a peaceful counterpoint to the chaos of the 60s and 70s. While the news focused on war and division, Kuralt showcased hope, kindness, and the heart of America, traveling over 1 million miles on back roads. In 1975, Kuralt won his second Peabody Award for capturing America's spirit, with memorable stories like that of Ira Perkins, a Montana teacher who had dedicated 53 years to a one-room schoolhouse. In 1976, Kuralt's On the Road to 76 followed a wagon train celebrating America's bicentennial, highlighting small-town life and the enduring pioneer spirit. By 1979, Kuralt began covering environmental issues like endangered species and continued his role as host of CBS Sunday Morning while still traveling. Despite the toll of constant motion, Kuralt never avoided tough stories, covering the 1989 China democracy protests and earlier, the North Pole expedition and the Congo Revolution. In 1990, Kuralt published A Life on the Road, a memoir about the hardships of his journey, loneliness, near-death experiences, and the unpredictable life on the road that shaped his storytelling legacy. Sunday Morning, under his leadership, became a cultural staple, winning 3 Peabody Awards and drawing over 6 million viewers by the early 90s. Kuralt personally selected each segment, often perfecting them through multiple takes. After retiring in 1994 at 59, he received honors like the Walter Cronkite Award, but his personal life was far more complicated. He had a 29-year affair with Patricia Shannon, whom he supported financially. Despite his public persona, he led a double life, even bringing Patricia's son on CBS assignments. After his death in 1997, Patricia revealed their secret life. His wife, PT, learned the truth at his funeral, sparking a legal battle over Kuralt's Montana property. Patricia won, and Kuralt's daughters from his first marriage were left with nothing, damaging his reputation. In 2002, Patricia published Charles and Me, exposing Kuralt's double life and revealing how the beloved journalist had deceived both his family and the public. If you love Hollywood gossip, celebrity news, and all things star-studded, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Also, drop a comment below